Shadow was a 15-year-old dog that somebody tied to a tree outside of a shelter. They didn't want him anymore, and didn't seem like a 15-year-old stood a good chance of getting adopted, so we adopted him. He lived with us on another ranch for a year and a half and was really just a source of inspiration to us. Sort of was the dog who never quit, always joyful, always hopeful, always made it up the hill even on the hard days. And when he passed a year and a half later, it was devastating to us, and we needed a way to keep him alive.
Yeah, he really touched us more than it kind of reminded us what life was about. And when he passed, that very next day, we took what he had brought us and wanted to continue it.
Well, within a very short period of time, the need for senior dogs, whether for medical equipment or medical care or rescue, was just sort of pouring in our door, and we said, why don't we just put a little bit of effort into this and see if we can get our friends to donate some money. And they did. All of our friends contributed, and next thing you know, a volunteer at an LA shelter said, we have a senior dog who needs help, and we took them, and one led to another, and we decided it was something we could do, and that's how we could
tried
keep
to
Shadow's
avoid
memory alive.
direct rescue all we could, but we
failed miserably.
Yeah, we failed miserably.
And this is sort of an old small town community, and the neighbors are ranching families that have been here for generation after generation. It's kind of a boys-only club society, so when we rolled in with our long hair and our pit bulls and our hippie neighbors, we sort of got a lot of looks from the neighbors. So they see horses that are here grazing and being fed that don't produce an income, and they see pigs and they see dogs, and none of these animals produce an income for us, and I think that's just sort of challenges their whole view of how things work, and that's okay. And we will keep the dialogue open, and we'll invite them over here, and we'll show them what we're doing and why, and we will change their mind.
She lived with a family probably her entire life until she was 13, and they got a divorce, and neither party wanted the dog. So she ended up at the shelter, and a volunteer at that shelter said, you have to rescue this dog. And we said, of course. Brought her home. She really didn't like other dogs, never was socialized, and through the magic of food, her and Boo Boo are best buddies. And Boo Boo is the same way, just would not interact with other dogs, was totally inappropriate. He likely spent weeks as a stray in LA. He's got nasty scars on his body, so he may have, from fights, he may have, just from being a stray, it's hard to tell.
Which is just a really great natural product for healing. Really, and a nice salve.
Doesn't it all smell good?
Mom owns a trucking company, and that moves steel from Detroit, and she finally jumped on the bandwagon and came out to Santa Barbara County and left Detroit behind, but still runs her business from home. So she's at home on the phone during the day, getting truck drivers in line to move steel around the country.
And the most enjoyable part, actually getting the electricity, was phenomenal. In the barn, so she has a washer and a dryer, so now Mom doesn't do the animal laundry anymore, and thank God. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get the smell out of my home washing machine, but it would told her it's always, we got to laugh every time we'd get her clothes or the dog stuff out of our washer and dryer. I mean, the cleanup afterwards was amazing what would come out of that laundry from being on the ranch.
Oh, yeah.
It's, I even had critters, live bugs that survived the wash cycle, the dry cycle. Husband and I, we live about 10 miles from here, and on the property in a trailer over here, my ex-husband resides in that trailer. In fact, he's working on my ex-husband's pickup truck right now. They're very good buddies. They get along good. Yeah, but the bad thing is neither one of them have life insurance, and neither one of them are putting out. So
I take care of feeding for all the animals on the ranch, including the pigs, the horses, and dogs. I've always loved animals. I just loved animals. Protected them, or I'd always go to the shelter when we were young, and my dad instilled it in us and said, you want a pet, we'll go and save one. Okay. So I lived in Kentucky the last 3 years before I came here. So I got to see my mom and both my parents were farmers, Southerners. So we'd go down to see their parents, and I always wanted to slap the pigs, they call it, feed the pigs. And I live in this house here, and my roommates are 15-year-old JoJo, 14-year-old Precious, and this is still a mystery. They say he's 13, Boo Boo, but he's a healthy 13. He gets around really well. Precious is my baby. She won't let the other two sit on the couch. But she's got a bad leg, and you know, it's not going to get better. Yeah. Lola, we painted the pig house today, and Lola got too inquisitive, so it's going to have to wear off. I tried washing it off. Come here, baby. Yeah, come on. If I had $10, I'd feed the pigs before me. And, you know, they love their apples, and talk to them. You know, animals know if you like them or not. So I just go down there, and I talk to them and throw them an apple, and they just... Same with the horses. They know.
That we have here that are a little people shy, like a couple of the pigs, some of these horses, they have no problem with him. They trust him right away. Yeah. They just gravitate to him.
There's not much I don't do. You know, whatever they need fixed, built, just basically anything. I mean, I pretty much know not everything, but you know, I mean, I'll dive into anything. You know, I enjoy I hunt to eat the food. You know what I mean? So I mean, I enjoy that part of it. I've stepped back from it with my stepdaughter, so you know, it's not something I do so much anymore.
So what did your truck hauling friends and coworkers think when you said, I'm giving up the hunting and the trucking, and I'm going to go live on a green, eco-friendly animal sanctuary?
They thought I was crazy. Yeah, they thought I was crazy. That's something you do. I guess most people, that's something that they do when they're much younger. You know, it was how do I want to say, a little trying to do this, but it worked out beautifully.
Okay. Have you switched from drinking Strohs to drinking wine yet?
You know, I haven't quite made that transition yet, but she keeps trying.
I've been about a 30-year nurseryman here in Santa Barbara County. My own nursery, Tony's Cactus Gardens, and we retired a few years back. Moved into Sabata Canyon, and happened to be neighbors with Jill and Cody. And after living across the street from each other and getting to know each other, decided to pull off this operation. We have perfect drainage, we have good texture, we need humus. So all the manures provide humus of some type or other. Some are richer than others. Some we prefer, more pleasant to work with than others.
You part of the mushroom hunting crowd after it rains?
No, not yet. But obviously, I'm going to be. This place is perfect, right? Chanterelles everywhere.
They grow at the base of oak trees, and in fact, you can't reproduce them outside of nature because there's some magical ingredient that happens with the oak tree roots and the leaf litter in the soil that produces the chanterelle. So you look at the base of oaks after a rain underneath the leaf litter, and you just kind of go out with your stick and move the leaves around and look for that vibrant orange gold and get yourself a backpack of goodness to take home for dinner.
There's actually the neighbor behind us has an armed patrol that seeks out people that are trespassing, hunting for chanterelles. So
we found one so far, one trespasser stealing chanterelles.
I kind of look at it as my way of church. Go out, and it feels good to do something around the dogs, and especially the more you come out, the more you get to know the dogs one-on-one and actually see them go to a good home, and it's something actually really rewarding. They thought I was crazy at first. They didn't really understand why, and I showed them the website, and every time I started talking about stories, they were like, wow, he's really actually into helping the dogs. And now they love hearing the stories of like herding the pigs. I told them how we herded 2 pigs at a time up a hill, and they just couldn't believe it.
So this is afternoon and it's windy. It's even windier at night. So our plans are to convert the ranch to sustainable energy. We'll do some solar, but primarily wind. And we obviously have quite a bit of wind coming down through this channel here, and we're tied into the grid. So if we generate enough, hopefully we'll start ticking the meter backwards and generate some funds for Shadows Fund and maybe even help power some of our neighbors.
Oh.
We'll do an open house, invite them, and show them how they can do things better if they want
Okay.
to. A lot of this stuff are things people donated for us to try to sell to raise money for Shadows Fund. The paint over here and a couple of these chestnut mares are what are known as the miracle horses. In 2007, the last U.S. slaughter plant was shut down, and when it was shut down, there were 30 horses on the plant floor, and the plant had to cease operations. So those horses were the only horses in history to go in a slaughter plant and come out alive.
I don't think Jill and I ever sat down and actually divided up the tasks, but lately it's been volunteer is my program, and Jill does a lot of the rescue coordination. We try to share the load as much as we can.
Who's better with the checkbook?
Jill, she's a taskmaster, and I tend to be a little more lax.
Our typical workday ends about 6 p.m. and that's when Shadows Fund and work for the sanctuary begins for us. So we start our second jobs when we get home. Work probably from about 7 p.m. until midnight. Lompoc's an agricultural community. It's a small town. It's a great town. There's not a lot of culture there. There's not any nightlife. There's not a lot of places to eat.
We hated it when we first got here,
Yeah.
but I think we've both kind of grown to love the little nuances that are there. The farmer's market.
Great wine country. There's a place
Yeah.
in Lompoc known as the Wine Ghetto. Interested in putting a yurt over here in this alcove for people to stay in, maybe stay the weekend, maybe do some voluntourism. People come and stay and help out with ranch projects. We recently had the county, woman who works for County Social Services with at-risk youth asked if we would do some programs here for young people, and we were pretty excited about that, to have them come out and work with the dogs and kind of view that as a win-win. And when she took it back to her boss and they were talking about it, sort of all of the department heads got excited, and suddenly the probation officers want to bring, their rehabbing, folks here, and they want to bring adults with disabilities and all kinds of different social services for humans. So it's really cool. I mean, this started as something for animals, and it's quickly becoming a sanctuary for two-leggeds as well.